excited about it.
That's what Mike's size.
Yeah, and they do music like Mike did. It's like,
Okay, let's hope I did all that right again. It's been a while. All right, let's open in prayer. Oh, Lord, thank you so much for just bringing us all back together so that we can glean from your word and study and just know your plan for our life in each day as we begin it with you. Just pray that you would use us to grow people in the Lord, to help them to learn to love your word because of the way that we love it. And I just pray that we would rightly divide it and apply it to our life. In your precious name we pray. Amen. Two books I'm going to suggest. These are new. This is Dennis Prager. He's only got Genesis, Exodus. I don't think he has Leviticus out yet. These are like, you read the verse, and then he gives you the explanation from the Torah. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Whole new insight into the Jewish world, which is where we will be for the whole fall. So, and they're not expensive, but it's literally verse by verse. Sometimes there's a commentary on the verse, sometimes there isn't. Yay! There's one on Exodus. So, and again, they're not very expensive, but boy, do they give explanation of the Jewish history. And I have copied some of it into your notes. So, what you have here is me tediously going through the Strong's Concordance for every single reference to each tribe name. Some of the information I thought was pertinent, so I just put it out. Some of it we'll go over, some of it we won't. It's just interesting what you find out with these names that you can't pronounce, but then they're repeated, and you're like, but why was it repeated? And why did you single that guy out? And who is that guy? And why does he do that? And why does that even matter? Very interesting when you go through that. So that's what this is done for you. We're only going through the first 6 tribes today. The last 6 we'll go over next week, and then we'll do lesson 1. So you have 2 weeks to do lesson 1, but I would suggest you get started now. Really long first chapter, first lesson. I look at it and I'm like, wow, I'm glad we have a couple weeks to do this because
We stopped today.
it's a lot of work.
The first one always.
We're going to start. Can you? Okay, you can't see the names. That's good. Tell me the names of the tribes that you can remember. Oh, you didn't get one. Sorry.
I'm late, sorry.
No.
I have $20 too, by the way.
Hey, money for paper. I like it. There you go. That replaces the second to the last page.
Thank you.
And pass that down to Lynn. Because you're going to need that too.
Thank you.
Okay, so tell me what tribes you can remember. So you can name all 12.
Reuben,
Okay?
Benjamin,
Good.
Naphtali,
Right?
Levi.
Good.
Dan,
Right?
Simeon.
What? Simeon? Right?
Naphtali, whatever it is.
She said Naphtali.
Jacob.
Good. No, Jacob.
No, not Jacob.
Does start with a J.
You want us to look right
Did Judah, right?
I don't think we said Judah.
No, we didn't say Judah yet.
Okay.
I just said it. I mean, I said it.
Dan,
I already said Dan.
Naphtali something.
Benjamin.
N-A-B.
Already said Benjamin.
There's a weird one. Is Reuben one of them?
No.
No.
That's why we need this class.
Right.
You start.
See, so my question is, how come we can remember some and we can't remember the others?
Yeah.
I mean, all 12 tribes are the 12 tribes of Israel, and they were all mentioned in Revelation. Do you remember what chapter? Revelation 7.
7.
See?
44.
You're like, however, one is not mentioned in Revelation 7. Why? I mean, inquiring minds want to know, right? But
12,000.
why?
12,000.
We still had 144,000,
Yeah.
but somebody's missing. Okay? These are the 12 tribes, and what do you think this one is?
Judah.
Right, because of?
Right.
Right. Any other guesses of anybody else?
Levi, the priest, the yellow one.
Yep.
Good. Okay, see, I feel better because I'm like, not a clue. This is just again, I'm searching the internet, 12 tribes of Israel, charts, information, anything. I came up with pretty much nothing except this. Now we name them. Okay? See who you forgot? Zebulun, Issachar,
Benjamin,
Asher, and Gad.
yeah.
Those are the ones you forgot. You're like, but why? And why do you forget those and you remember others? Hopefully, we're gonna learn all that. Okay? Just in this week and next week. Because now, why would I do that before we do Joshua?
Was it taking the tribes into the promised land?
And what's happened before that?
They've been wandering in the desert.
A lot of rebellion.
Okay, so let's take Genesis. What do we know happens in Genesis? Adam and Eve, besides that, because we're talking about the tribes.
Noah and the flood. And
Right.
you have Abraham and God's blessing on Abraham and many descendants. And
So just timeline in your head, Abraham comes after the
Noah.
flood.
Right.
Okay. Abraham is given what?
Promise
Promise of,
The covenant.
right, the covenant. And how long is the covenant?
forever.
Forever. And his descendants will be,
Stars.
right, as numerous as the stars, as the sand of the sea. And God says, come and follow me to a land I will show you. So Abraham occupies the land and conquers, and he lives in the land.
No.
No, he never.
Never. Never. He never occupies the land. But that was a promise. And he knew it would be fulfilled, but he never occupied the land. Okay? So, who is the one that the nation of Israel is named after? Jacob. Does Jacob go in and occupy the land and have all the... He doesn't either. Except the whole nation is named after him. Who's the father of all these 12 sons? Jacob. Who never sees the land. Okay. Again, I'm like, oh yeah, he never, oh wow, that's sad. All these promises, and they die before it happens. Okay? They're family groups descended from the biblical patriarch Jacob. These are just pictures. We're going to go into that a little bit more. So I'm not really going to go into all of that. This is interesting. Because I'm going to give you that information only in the first 6 tribes, okay?
Right.
But when they set up the tabernacle in the desert, it was very specific who was to go in first. 3, 3, 3, and 3. Then when the cloud moved, what did they have to do?
Moved.
And each tribe had to move in succession of when they were supposed to go, because first one in, first one can't. And everybody starts backing up again.
They had different
Okay.
responsibilities.
Exactly. I want you to notice too that you see the Levite families of Kohath, Gershon, Merari, and Moses and Aaron's sons. Okay? Because Levites were not given land at all.
Right.
So they camped within the northeast, southwest. Okay? Gershon, Merari, and Kohath. You're going to need to know who those are, who they're related to. Okay? This was beautiful right there. And Joni brought this in, which is even prettier, I think, that she stitched with all the different colors. Okay? I just love this. This is prettier than that. But that's neat. We'll go into that. Each one of these is assigned to a tribe. Each one of those colors is assigned to a tribe.
They're also used in the description of the temple in Revelation.
Exactly.
Those are the colors.
So that's why we want to know that.
Did you find any discrepancy? Because I think when I stitched it that there was 2
One could be one and one could be, yes. I forget who that is.
Yeah.
Even this, it says it in here.
Right? And does it list it on the?
Yeah, Gad, it says emerald or diamond.
There you go.
But you got that one.
Yeah, see? And Simeon, the lapis lazuli, that's really cool because if you go in Israel, you can only get that stone in a certain place in Israel because that's the only place that it is. But if you get jewelry with the lapis lazuli, you know where it came from because that's the only place on the planet that I know of that it is.
I think you can get one
So that's pretty cool.
at
This, okay, you map people. What's interesting in this? Look at where the tribes are. Somebody's very interesting here.
You have this tiny piece of lands compared to others.
Yeah. Why is that weird?
Yeah.
Why is that weird? Because it is weird.
Because
Yeah.
they know
It's
it.
in the middle of,
Because maybe it doesn't belong to you.
It's in the middle
Can't see.
of Judah. So if you want to go to Simeon's land, who you got to go through?
Judah.
There ain't no way to get there from here unless you go through your brother's land. In birth order, it's even weirder. Like, well, but why does he have to be in the middle of his brother? Again, just interesting stuff. Not going to go through the divided kings. We did that with kings and prophets. I hope you guys have all of that in your Bible because you did a lot of work on that. If you haven't transferred that, transfer that. Let's get to the first Reuben. Okay, I have on the front, we're just going to keep going on this. Forgive me if this is tedious or boring to you because this required a lot of work and will be very interesting. I'm not reading it all, only what I've highlighted. Okay? If on your own time you want to read everything, more power to you. Okay? Just notice Jacob's wives and concubines, because we're gonna need to know these four ladies. Okay? We have Rachel, Bilhah, Leah, and Zilpah. Okay? That's where all the 12 tribes came from. Period. This background is going to be very interesting because how does Joshua, do you know how Joshua starts out? Because we've had Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, which is called what?
Pentateuch.
The Pentateuch, or the Torah, okay? All setting up to go into the land, right? Moses, my servant, is dead. Now it's passed on to Joshua. Huge shoes to fill. Huge. And he has to set himself up as, you have to obey me just like you obeyed Moses, because Joshua is known as a what? What's he characterized for? Joshua and Caleb both.
They were the two that went in and said, yes.
They were the
we
two
can take
spies
the land."
They're the only two spies that came back with a good report, so
Right.
therefore the only one of their generation that is
There.
alive.
Yeah.
Everybody else in their generation is dead. They're known as warriors.
Yeah.
Moses was not known as a warrior. He only didn't even want to speak because he had a bad speech impediment. Joshua is known as a warrior. He's ready to go in and take the land. He and Caleb both are like that. So that's what's leading the Israelites into their land right now. Okay? Very, very important. So, firstborn is Reuben. How come you didn't think of Reuben first? Because you should have, because he's firstborn.
He was also the only one who didn't want to throw Joseph in the pit. Or kill him.
Or
So
kill
let's put
him.
him in a pit
Or
instead of
kill
killing
him. Good. Okay? He's first son to Jacob. First one. The Lord saw that Leah was not loved, so his solution was give her Reuben. So he did. And then Genesis 35:22, what does Reuben do? According to the notes here.
This man breaks.
Incest.
He commits incest with Bilhah, Jacob's concubine, and Jacob knows that he did that. But he doesn't do anything about it. He just knows that he did. No children came out of that, which is a good thing. Just like Mary Ann said, Reuben rescued Joseph from being murdered by his brothers and suggested he be thrown into a pit that didn't have any water. So later he could go back and get him out and go take him to his dad. This is his firstborn son, taken care of, next to lastborn son. Okay? He had nothing to do with his being sold. Nothing. He didn't even know about it. Genesis 37:30, he said, "The boy is not here. As for me, where am I to go?" Now, why do you think he said, "Where am I to go? The boy's not here."
Because
Afraid
he's
to
got his
ask. Father.
responsibility into his.
Right. It's like, it's firstborn. This is John Boy Walton,
Yeah.
right? Everybody's his responsibility. He's gone now. I don't have any place to go. I can't go back to dad because I lost a kid. Genesis 42:37, Reuben spoke to his father saying, now look what he puts up as surety. You may put my 2 sons to death if I do not bring Benjamin back to you. Put him in my care and I will return him to you. Now remember, we're skipping chapters, so try and go along with me. He's already gone back and got grain. He's gone back. It's like Jacob or Joseph says, you bring me Benjamin. And Jacob says he'll die if you bring Benjamin because I've already lost Joseph.
Right.
And so surety, Reuben says, take my 2 sons. If I don't bring him back, my 2 sons are yours. Okay? There's Reuben's sons. You're going to need to pay attention to one of them. Hanok, Palu, Hezron, and Carmi. Okay? When Jacob blesses, he equates Joseph's 2 sons born to him in Egypt as the same as his 2 sons, Reuben and Simeon. Very interesting. It's like Reuben and Simeon are just like Manasseh and Ephraim, who are Joseph's 2 sons to him. He equates them as his, not his grandsons, but his sons. Genesis 49:40, this is what he calls it. Uncontrolled as water, you shall not have preeminence because you went up to your father's bed, then you defiled it. He went up to my couch. Anything in italics is from Dennis Prager's books. Okay? He said, there are consequences for sin. Jacob had forgiven him, but the consequences remain. He's firstborn. He's not getting the blessing of the firstborn. Okay? I keep putting in there in Exodus 1, Reuben and his household went up to Egypt with Jacob. They are not in the promised land. They're in Egypt. They all went up with Jacob. Now, they all get land, but these actual sons never see their land. I never put that together. And his sons went up also, and they named them again. Their place is on the south side of the camp. Okay, Numbers 7:11. Again, just kind of jump with me. 1 leader each day was to bring the offering for the newly built altar. So really, firstborn, who should be coming? Reuben isn't till 4. He's not allowed to come till number 4. Look who first one is. Judah. I highlighted number 13:4 because that gives you the name of the guy that brought the bad report from the tribe of Reuben. God names him. Every one of them that brought a bad report is named. Now, not in Genesis, where they go out and spy the land, and they're not named. In Numbers, they are absolutely named from each tribe. Shammua, son of Zakur, brought back a bad report. Now, what do we remember about Korah?
The ground swallowed.
Oh
him
my
up.
gosh, you're like Korah.
Disobedience.
Oh, bad memory, not good, not good. What happened to Korah?
The ground ate him.
Mm-hmm.
And all of his family and everything that was his.
But why?
Because he tried to set himself up as a priest.
Yes.
He tried to take the place of the priest.
Now, he is a Levite. This is where the confusion can
Right.
get in.
Yeah.
What's the difference between Levites and sons of Aaron? Sons of Aaron.
The sons of Aaron held the office of the
Yeah,
high
high
priest.
Only high
Yeah.
priest. Right. I mean, so the Kohathites are Levitical priests.
Right.
They are. But they're not high priests. And that's the office they wanted. Why does Aaron have to get set apart? I can be a high priest just like him. So God singles out Korah, which is a great grandson of Levi. So I don't know if Levi's still alive or whatever. But remember, Korah goes back to the Reubenites, but he's a Levitical priest assigned to them, which to me gets very confusing. Dathan and Abiram. Does that bring up good memories or bad memories?
I don't even remember Dathan, but Byron was
Not good.
Not good.
Both of them got swallowed up because they were following Korah. Now, Numbers 26:5. Again, we have his 4 sons, but then he takes the line from Palu. He just kind of forgets Hanok, Hezron, and Carmi and goes, Palu had 1 son. Eliab. What's that? Well, Eliab comes Dathan and Abiram. Bad. So now we know this is how the line goes back. Okay?
Sort of like my family. Good, bad,
Good, bad, not good. Did really, really bad. Don't even want to remember.
Bad, 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 bad.
Do you remember the story of when they wanted to, some of them wanted to stay on the east side of the Jordan and they didn't want to cross over? Okay? This is Reuben, half tribe of Manasseh, and a Gad. They're on the east side. But they say they'll fight with their brothers, but they want to come back. This is the reason why. The east side of the Jordan was a land for livestock, and that's what they had. They had tons of livestock. This land is really, really good. Can we stay here? We'll go over and fight with our brothers, but when everybody gets their land, we want to come back and have this. And Moses said, fine. Numbers 33:23. How many times is this quoted? Be sure your sin will find you out. Here's the reason that verse is there. He said, if you will be free of obligation to go fight with your brothers, if you fulfill your promise. If not, you've sinned against the Lord. And be sure your sin will find you out. That's the context for that verse. If they did not go, they still, I thought that was very interesting, in Numbers 32:30, they would still be given possessions among their brothers in the land of Canaan. So there's still provision for them. Okay, top of the next page. No. Oh, okay, the Song of Deborah. Everybody see that?
What?
The Song of Deborah, as we finish up Reuben's. It's on the back page.
Yep.
Okay, among the divisions of Reuben, there were great resolves of heart. What does that mean? And then they go into 1 Chronicles 5, because Reuben, and Judges 5, it says, among the divisions of Reuben, here were great searchings of heart. So maybe he's pondering about what he did, wishes he could take it back, but that's the only one that it ever talks about the heart. Like, firstborn, Reuben. 1 Chronicles 5, 1-2. Here's the consequences. Because Reuben defiled his father's bed, his birthright was given to the sons of Joseph. How far down the line was that?
Way down.
Probably grandson.
All the way almost to the baby. Though Judah never prevailed so that he is not enrolled in the genealogy according to the birthright of the firstborn. Sad. Though Judah prevailed over his brothers and from him came the leader Jesus, the birthright now is going to Joseph. Way, way down the line. Here's another characteristic of Reuben. 1 Chronicles 5:25. They acted treacherously against the God of their fathers and played the harlot after the gods of the peoples of the land whom God had destroyed before them. 5:26. So the God of Israel stirred up the spirit of Pul, king of Assyria, and he carried them away into exile. I remember us reading that when we were doing Kings and Prophets. And then from the tribe of Reuben in Revelation, why do I have that? That's 12,000. Boy, did I find that a lot. I'm telling you. That could happen again. Okay, so now we have number 2, Simeon. But with Reuben, I want you to see water is a symbol for him, and mandrake plant. So do you see that? So when we saw that up there, this water symbol, that belonged to Reuben. And I'll try and put that up at the very end again, okay? Notice where he is camped. Okay? This is just going to be, they're always going to be named together. Reuben, Simeon, and Gad. It's like they group them 3, 3, 3, 3. They're just always like that. Okay? Now, oh, did it say it there? No, that's his stone. Turquoise or emerald. Yeah, totally different colors. Greenish blue, that kind of covers it, doesn't it? Where's their land? Remember, it's on the east side, because they don't want to go over here. And why? Why didn't they want to go there? Livestock. So that land is good for all their herds. All right?
For all the tribes, because they share.
Exactly.
Must be good for
Okay.
crops then.
It must be good for crops too if it's
Yeah.
flat for them. Okay, now we got Simeon. Did you see anybody that came from famous from Reuben that we know stories from? I don't remember reading any.
Not really.
Not really.
Uh-uh.
But he's firstborn, so there should be, but there isn't. Okay, so now we're Simeon. Again in italics, Simeon comes from the Hebrew word Shema, which means hear. His name in effect was heard, as in God heard. Okay? That was Dennis Prager. So Leah named him Simeon because the Lord heard that I was unloved and has given me this one also. Now, Simeon and Levi slew all the male Hittites and Shechemites. Anybody remember that story? They're avenging Dinah.
Yeah.
Does that help?
Yeah.
Dinah was raped.
Yeah.
Nobody did anything.
Right.
Simeon and Levi go, and they took care of it. You guys become like we are, and we'll make a covenant with you, and we'll never fight you ever again, but you have to be circumcised. So all the men of the land got circumcised, and Simeon and Levi went in and slaughtered them all in revenge for Dinah. Okay? They are full brothers because they come from Leah. So they all have the same mom. Reuben, Simeon, and Levi all have the same mom. Genesis 35:23. More brothers besides Reuben, Simeon, and Levi. You've got Judah, Issachar, and Zebulun. So these are, I'm hoping we're going to remember that these are blood brothers. You know, you've got a different mom, you got a different mom. This is my mom. So we're kind of a clan over here. Genesis 42:24, Joseph took Simeon from his brothers. Okay, remember he's in Egypt and he goes, no, somebody has to stay here to make sure that you guys come back and bring Benjamin. So who does he keep? Simeon, who's not firstborn. Right, he's secondborn. But Joseph had found out that Reuben had tried to save him. But so had Simeon. Because Simeon didn't even know. Interesting, he just pulls Reuben out. Jacob, again, remember in the blessing, on his deathbed, he links them as partners in crime. Their weapons are tools of lawlessness. What do you think he's thinking about when he says lawlessness? Both of them, and only those two.
That would be the slaughtering.
That would be the slaughtering. Right.
Two groups.
Right. Okay. He's bringing that up on his blessing, on his deathbed. Go down to Numbers 13:5. Here's Reuben or Simeon's descendant that brought the bad report, Shaphat, named. Now each tribe was put on a mountain. You have Mount Gerizim and Mount Ebal. One proclaims blessings, one proclaims curses. Simeon gets to get put on Mount Gerizim to bless the people, with Levi, Judah, Issachar, Joseph, and Benjamin. And that's Deuteronomy 27:12 on the top of the next page. And again, we talked about Simeon's inheritance being within the land of his brother. Does it have the map? Okay, and there's his color. This is the lapis lazuli. Beautiful, beautiful stone. You can see that. That's what stone would have been on the ephod for him. And again, to this day, that's where that stone is I don't want to say grown, found, mined, whatever. And that's where they get it. His land is inside Judah. We haven't even got to Judah yet. Okay? So Reuben's over here. Here's Simeon. And then we're going to go to Levi. Okay. This time my husband will become attached to me, for I have borne him 3 sons. Poor Leah. I think of Leah and I'm like, this is her whole life. Her husband does not love her. She's bearing him sons, which in the Jewish heritage is everything. But that's not who he loves. But he procreates with her, but he doesn't love her. 3rd time, this time my husband will love me. Yeah, no. And again, Simeon and Levi avenged Dinah's rape. This is interesting at the top, Genesis 34:30, what Dennis Prager says. This heartless revenge foreshadowed the heartlessness they later displayed in the treatment of Joseph. Because remember, they would have avenged Dinah's rape before they ever put Joseph in the pit. Levi's sons, see these names? Gershon, Kohath, and Merari. Remember those up on the map? Okay? These are Levite sons because Levites didn't have land and they were assigned to 3 tribes, 3 tribes, 3 tribes. And then when they got land, each one of those Levite tribes was given cities within those tribes' lands so that they could, be their church. This is where they went to tabernacle until the times that they would go actually to Jerusalem and come back. This was their normal practice. Exodus 2:1. Moses was a Levite. That's important. I didn't know that. His father Amram and Jochebed were both Levites, came from Levite tribe or Levites' descendants. This is the only one I know how long he lived. They don't tell me I didn't find anything else that said Simeon lived blank, Judah lived blank. It says Levi lived 137 years. Why single him out? I don't know. These are just things that make you go, Exodus 32. All the Levites rallied with Moses and killed about 3,000 Israelites who had made the golden calf with Aaron. Were the Levites up on the mountain with Moses?
No.
So where were they when the calf was being
They were in the
made?
camp.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why didn't they stop it? Because Moses wasn't there to tell them to stop it.
They didn't have.
Aaron was making it.
And Aaron, the high priest,
Yeah.
was making it. Right. But then when Moses confronts their sin, what do? All the Levites, all of them go with Moses and go, you're right. This was wrong. What do you want us to do? And Moses says, slay them. So he did. 3,000 of them. This was interesting. Numbers 153. This is their job. They're to care for the tabernacle and the camp around it. And here's the reason why. So that wrath would not fall on Israel. That's a huge responsibility. When you go back down to Numbers 3, 12 to 13, God says the Levites are mine, for all the firstborn are mine. So now he's calling out Levi as a firstborn. But who's firstborn? Reuben. Number 16. Again, there's that bad name again. Korah, who's a great-grandchild of Levi. Okay. And certain Reubenites, Dathan and Abiram, who were sons of Eliab, and On, the son of Peleg, became insolent and rose up against Moses. And we know what happened to them. Okay? God took care of them. Next page, Numbers 18:23. The Levites also bear the responsibility for offenses against the tent of meeting. So if you did it, it's their responsibility to make it right, to keep it holy. That's their job. They have to keep this tent of meeting holy. Numbers 26:58, Kohath was Amram's father, which is Moses' grandfather. Kohath is not good. This is how far back this goes. It's just interesting to take this line. The Lord is the Levites' inheritance, and offer made by fire is what they live on, because they don't have land, they don't have flocks and herds, whatever. So what happens if the people became disobedient and started idol worship? What happens to the Levites? They go hungry, because the people aren't bringing their sacrifices by offering or their bread or whatever that they're supposed to be bringing in. Levites don't eat.
They're not doing their assignment.
Right. Remember, this was all leading up to the body of Christ. Okay? But that's interesting about if they're not doing their job and they're not being obedient, somebody's not eating.
Yeah, whole suffers.
Yeah, the whole thing suffers. They decide all cases of dispute and assault. So it's like they're judges as well. Okay, and their job was to be on Mount Gerizim to bless. No, we haven't got anybody on the cursing mountain yet. Okay, jump down to 1 Kings 12:31. Jeroboam. Remember Jeroboam and Rehoboam? Okay, we always said Jeroboam, son of, remember? Nebat. It was always Jeroboam, son of Nebat.
Nebat.
And was that a good thing? No, it was never a good, never a good thing. He had 10 tribes of Israel, so I just put N for, remember, Israel's north, Judah is south. This is, again, we've skipped through books of the Bible, so now we're in the split kingdom. Okay? They built shrines, or he built shrines on high places and appointed priests from all sorts of people, even though they were not Levites. 1 Chronicles 12:28, you're going to want to remember that guy's name, Zadok. He's a brave young warrior. He is a Levite. And then 1 Chronicles 23:14, the sons of Moses, the man of God, were counted as part of the tribe of Levi. Okay? So remember, Moses goes to Levi. He goes to that tribe. Top says, there's your sons of Moses, Gershon and Eleazar. And remember, their mother was Zipporah. And her father was Jethro. And, God tells Moses to go to Jethro, your father-in-law, and get help. You can't do all this by yourself. Okay? All right. Wanted to go to his stone. Okay? And again, do you see Levites up here? Just here, right? And Moses is included in the Levites. Okay, so all his sons are Levites. So you're not going to see a little thing there that's going to say Levi, because they're within each. And they were responsible for moving the actual tabernacle. Okay? Where's the stone?
It was back away.
Oh, did I miss it?
I think so. One back.
Keep going.
There.
Symbol. Stone not represented on the breastplate, but the tribe symbol is off on the breastplate itself. Right. That's why I wanted to put that up. So they're the actual ephod, which makes sense because everybody's built on top of that. Now we come to Judah. So we've named Simeon. Who else? I should say Reuben.
Reuben, I mean.
Levi.
And now Judah. Judah is the largest tribe. Which on the map you can tell, yes, they are. Genesis 29:35. This is Leah. This time I will praise the Lord. She doesn't talk about Jacob. She doesn't talk about now he'll love me. She doesn't talk about any of that. It's like this, I will praise the Lord. So at this point, Leah appears to have given up on Jacob's love. Now she just praises God for giving her children, specifically sons, which is huge in the Jewish world. Okay? And then she stopped bearing. Now that's sad. But she has 4 children, okay? So far. Judah said to his brothers, again, this is when Joseph is thrown in the pit, "What do we gain by killing our brother and covering up his blood? After all, he is our brother, our own flesh." So Judah is pleading, let's not kill him, okay? 37:27, let's sell him to the Ishmaelites, but let us not do away with him ourselves. So, I mean, they could kill him, but we don't have to kill him. But either way, he could die. It wouldn't really bother me at all, but let's not us do it, okay? It was Judah's idea to sell Joseph. Remember, Reuben in Genesis 37:21 also didn't want to kill him and suggested throw him in the pit. But Reuben wanted to go back and get him and take him back home. Judah didn't want to do that. This is interesting. This guy's name, Hira. Genesis 38:1. He distances himself from his brothers. He leaves and camps near a certain Adulamite whose name was Hira. Now he possibly landed in Timnah. Maybe that's the land that he landed in. He marries a daughter of a certain Canaanite whose name was Shua, and he cohabited with her. She bore him 3 sons, Onan, and Shelah. Shelah is what I should say. So Judah gets a wife for He marries Tamar. Everybody goes, oh, I remember that name,
Yeah.
Tamar. Then God kills because he was displeasing to the Lord. That's the first time ever in Scripture that it says God killed somebody because they were displeasing to the Lord. First mention is always important.
Yeah.
So Judah tells, again in Jewish tradition, Onan needs to marry Tamar so that they have children because the firstborn is going to be named for so he doesn't lose a line. Onan's not really crazy about that. And so he displeases God, and guess what God does to him? He kills him too. Right. So if you were Shayla, what are you thinking?
Oh boy.
Don't make me do it, Dad. Okay? Now, Judah tells Tamar, just wait for Shayla to grow up. So she goes back to her dad's house. Okay? Then Genesis 38:12 is interesting. It says, a long time afterward, Judah's wife died. Therefore, Shayla must be of marrying age, and it's a long time afterward. He's grown up. But he doesn't give Shayla to Tamar. So Tamar goes out. She pretends that she's a prostitute sitting at the gate. And in those days, they covered the faces, so Judah would not have been able to recognize this as Tamar. He sleeps with Tamar, and she says, well, what are you going to pay me? Well, I'll send back a kid, which is a goat. Well, what are you going to give me so I know and I have something until you do pay me? So he gives her his seal, cord, and staff. He sends his buddy, Hira, back to pay the prostitute. She's not there. She's gone home. Back to her daddy's house. Well, what do you mean she's not there? What a friend. Go pay that prostitute for me, will you? So Hira goes and pays the prostitute. But she's not there, so he brings it back. So Judah thinks, okay, well, never mind. 3 months later, they come to Judah, and they tell him Tamar has played the harlot because she's pregnant. Well, he says, bring her out. We got to burn her. To Tamar's credit, she did not come out and totally expose Judah. She sends a message. Well, the father of this child is the one whom the seal, the cord, and the staff belong. And Judah immediately realizes it's his. Okay? He repents. He's like, you're right. You're more righteous than I. Tamar bears him twins. Okay? This is really interesting. Something Dennis Prager also said was that morality mattered more to God than nationality. So if we look at the line of Christ, that is so true. That is so true. Morality mattered more to him than this nationality. Perez was born, and Zerah. We don't know much more about Zerah, but Perez that he was called that because it means breach. He stuck his hand out first. So they put a red cord around it, and he stuck it back in. Okay? He became the ancestor of David, which is later the Messiah. So his name comes in there. This is through incest. Keep that thought. Judah, number 4, remember in birth order, now he seems to speak for all the brothers. Should be who?
Reuben.
Should be Reuben. Or next in line would be,
Simeon.
or next in line would be,
Levi.
but it isn't, it's Judah. Judah seems to step up now and be like firstborn. When anybody names tribes of Israel, who do they usually think of first? Judah. They're the biggest. But he's number 4. Let's see. Again, Judah's number 4. And Reuben, number 1, slept with Bilhah. Simeon and Levi came and hacked up all the guys. They're not real happy with them. This is the difference in Judah and Reuben. Genesis 43:9, Judah offers himself as a surety for Benjamin. Not his sons, not somebody else. Me, Dad. Hold me accountable if I don't bring Benjamin back. Me. Not, oh, take my sons. Or me. He's now head brother. So if anybody's going to come and talk, they're going to go talk to Judah. I'm going to read this italics one. This is very interesting from Dennis Prager. It said, Judah offered himself in place of Benjamin. As demonstrated earlier by his immediate admission that he had wronged Tamar, Judah turned out to be impressive. He offered himself as a lifelong slave in place of Benjamin to keep his word to Jacob that Benjamin would return to him. Judah has learned the meaning of family responsibility. 2 great lessons of family life are teaching people how to care for others and how to live with people who may be completely unlike them. It is often much easier to treat friends well than family well. We choose our friends, not our family. For many, perhaps most, people, love the stranger starts at home. Perhaps most striking in this passage is that Judah, the brother who years earlier advocated selling Joseph as a slave, was now prepared to become a slave in order to spare another brother the same fate. His noble offer convinced Joseph the test had gone far enough. Having seen solid evidence his brothers had truly changed, he could now reconcile with them. Judah is the archetype of the true penitent, the person who confronts the same situation in which he had previously acted wrongly, and now he acts decently. In the words of a famous Talmudic teaching, in the place where penitents stand, even the most righteous do not stand. In other words, an even higher level of righteousness is ascribed to the one who has sinned and repented than to the one who has always been righteous. An old Jewish teaching suggests that it was because of Judah's willingness to risk his own freedom to spare Benjamin a life of slavery, the Jewish people was named for him. Very interesting. Judah's Hebrew name is Yehudah. The Hebrew word for Jew is Yehudi. So maybe they were named after that. Perez's son. Perez came from who? Tamar. Out of incest with Judah. Okay? His sons are Hezron and Hamul. So Jacob now sends Judah, the leader of the brothers, okay, to point the way back to Goshen. Now, I want you to picture this. They're all coming up from where they were with the famine. They're going up to Egypt and Goshen. Who should be leading them as firstborn? Right. But who's leading them? Judah is leading them. And all their kids and their tribes and everything. And all the brothers know birth order. The birth order is not happening. Judah is leading the way, and everybody else is behind Judah. In the Jewish community, that's humiliation. And everybody sees the humiliation. That firstborn is not, neither is second and neither is third. Number 4 is leading, which would have made them go, what happened? We missed that, because that's not our heritage. That's not how we see things. But in the Jewish community, firstborn is everything. Everything. And Judah has stepped up as firstborn.
Well, that's just the statement of saying lineage is more important than God.
Right. Right. And it isn't.
God's saying, no, it's not.
Right.
I am more important.
Exactly. And that's how we picked David, isn't it? As king. Genesis 49, 8 to 10. Go down again to the italics. Judah received a particularly favorable blessing, second only to that of Joseph. Judah's character was demonstrated by his acknowledgement he was guilty in the incident with Tamar. And, this is interesting, in becoming the brother's spokesman when Jacob feared parting with Benjamin. It was Judah who convinced Jacob if the people didn't go to Egypt, they'd die. It was Judah who pledged to safeguard Jacob's youngest son, Benjamin. And finally, it was Judah's speech, the longest speech in Genesis, that made Joseph convinced he needed to forgive his brothers, that they had changed. He plays a huge, huge part. Beginning with King David, all legitimate rulers of Israel, up to and including Messiah, were and will be from the tribe of Judah. Not firstborn. Just down to Exodus 31:2. Bezalel, I thought you embroiderers would love this, was chosen to make artistic designs for the tabernacle, and God filled him with the Spirit of God. So how did he know how to do that? Because God filled him with the Spirit of God. Right. Isn't that cool? Gave him the ability to do that. I mean, how many of us go, this is absolutely gorgeous. I can sit down and do that. I cannot.
Yes, you could.
Have you tried to do that?
You could do that.
You could, and then rip it out and do it and rip it out and then do it and rip it out, and eventually it would look. We won't want to know what that looks like. It won't look like that. Just trust me. Bezalel made everything the Lord commanded Moses. Wow, I want that written. I want that written. Jenny did everything the Lord commanded her to do. Oh, I want that in the Old Testament, written down for everybody to see for all time and eternity. Wow. We should memorize this guy's name. Numbers 1:7, Nahshon, son of Amminadab, was chosen to help Moses with the census. He is David's 4 times great-grandfather. So follow with me. Amminadab, Nahshon, Salmon, Boaz, Obed, Jesse, David. So we're going back to what tribe? Judah, right? And every legitimate ruler of Israel, up to and including Messiah, will always go back to Judah. Okay? Numbers 7:12, Nahshon is the first leader to bring first leader. That first, it shouldn't have been him first, but now he's speaking for the brothers. He's got the voice. He's the first to bring the first offering on the brand new altar that they've built. What an honor. Nahshon gets to do that. Okay, Numbers 13:6. Guess who's from Judah? Caleb.
Yeah.
Okay? We know that Ur and Onan died in Canaan. Why did they die? Why did Ur and Onan die in Canaan?
God was displeased.
Yes. So God killed them.
They're the ones who married Tamar.
They did marry.
Ur married Tamar, or Judah found Tamar and gave it to Ur.
Okay.
We don't know what he did that was displeasing.
Wouldn't have
God killed him.
But God killed him.
Onan was supposed to procreate. He didn't. God killed him. We don't know what happens to Shelah. I don't know. He didn't marry Tamar. We know that. Then he goes to the sons of Judah again, Shelah, Perez, and Zerah, because Perez and Zerah were the twins from Tamar. Good. He pulls out Perez. The sons of Perez were Hezron and Hamul. Why does he pull out Perez? Because it traces back to Amminadab, and Amminadab traces back to David. So see why these names are like, I can't pronounce that. Can't pronounce. Well, there's pretty cool stuff in there if you just kind of follow the line. Okay? He gets to be on Mount Gerizim to bless the people. So far, we get blessing, blessing, blessing. Nobody's got the cursing yet. Okay? Joshua 7:1. This is in Moses' blessing. Okay? So remember, Moses is And again, this is Joshua, the book we get to go into. We get Achan. Do you remember good or bad about Achan? Achan is not good. I just remember Achan is not good. No, I don't remember anything good about Achan.
That's where that came from.
What?
I've got an aching for a bruising.
Yeah. Well, he got more than a bruising. He took some of the devoted things from Jericho. Remember, now keep your kind of keep your timeline. They've marched around Jericho. They're not supposed to touch anything.
Right.
Just supposed to conquer the people. What? There's really pretty stuff. So he brought pretty stuff, and he brought it and he put it underneath his tent because nobody's going to know. But still, you go, and where are you going to wear it? Where do you think people are going to go? Where'd you get that? That's really pretty. Did somebody say something made that? No, I got it from Jericho. That's what's going to happen if he tells anybody. So what's he going to do with it underneath his tent? But again, you know, it was pretty, and he took it.
It's called
So,
greed.
Greed, exactly. Here's, again, Achan goes to Carmi, Carmi goes to Zimri, Zimri goes to Zerah, and then Zerah, Judah. Zerah keeps getting singled out, okay? Because Achan is the son of Zerah. The whole nation of Israel stoned and burned all he had. Why do you think they had to do that? Why did they have to execute the judgment?
Get sin out.
They had to cleanse the sin from among them. They had to do it. They had to be obedient to the law that Moses from God had set down. Okay? Joshua 11, again, the book we get to go in, totally took his land. You're not going to read that very often. He went in and totally took all of his land. Because I would expect that out of Joshua and Caleb. They are now 80 when they enter the land. He drove the enemy from it, and then the land had rest from wars. Caleb, so they're both from the tribe of Judah. That's interesting. Requests the land of Hebron from Joshua, just as Moses had promised him. If you want to know the boundaries, that's in 15:1. But then it says Judah could not dislodge the Jebusites. The Jebusites lived in Jerusalem. I mean, that's pretty key. You can't get those guys out of Jerusalem. Now, it's not the capital yet. We don't know all that, but it's going to be. So it's really prime land, and the Jebusites are still there. There's your Joshua 19:1. Simeon's land lay within the territory of Judah, and here's your reason why. Because Judah had more than they needed. But I still go, but if God is appointing out the land, why does he give Judah more than they need and just find out to give Simeon what he needs and Judah what he needs so they don't have to, I don't know.
See if they're obedient.
I don't know.
And obedience is.
How humbling. Where do you live? We'll go through Judah,
Have to share.
and then you'll get to me in the middle.
Learn how to share.
The continuance of humbling and punishment, consequences.
So true. Of his sin.
Well, I would think too, he has the protection of Judah around him.
And that could be a very positive thing because
Right.
that's the biggest tribe. Right. Okay. Then you go to Judges. Sorry. Hebron is a city of refuge in Judah. Anybody know what the cities of refuge were? That was in Joshua 27, because we're going to get into those in Joshua.
When they had committed a sin, that's
Right.
where they went to kind of hide, but
Especially
wait.
murder.
Yes.
Yeah.
Somebody lost their life,
Yes.
or they hurt their livestock,
Oh, they were accused.
or they were accused of it.
We call sanctuary cities nowadays.
Right?
Yeah.
This is a city of refuge where they could go until there was a trial.
Until, yeah.
And they said, yes, you're guilty, or no, you're not guilty. And if you are guilty, you can stay and live here forever. But you step outside that city and that blood avenger can take your life.
Yep.
That's the way it is. And they were all within distance of each tribe that you could get to the city of refuge. It wasn't, it's too far. No, they were all strategically put there. But it's interesting, we all know the land of Hebron. Hebron, we've always heard Hebron. It's a city of refuge. Kohathites, which are Levitical priests, got land from Judah. Now remember, each tribe is going to be giving the Levites land, okay, because they got to put their kids and their families somewhere. Judah was the first to go up and fight against the Canaanites after Joshua died. That takes a lot of bravery, because now Joshua's just like Moses. Judges 1:8, they took Jerusalem and they set it on fire. Jerusalem is burned to the ground by Israelites. Bye-bye Jebusites. Judges 1:19, this was sad. They could not drive the people from the plains because they had iron chariots. Interesting. Judges 10, Israel's back in idol worship, and the Philistines crossed the Jordan to fight Judah. And Benjamin and Ephraim have, after being oppressed their brothers on the east side of Jordan for 18 years. So they've been in oppression for 18 years by the Philistines. Here's the reason Judges in 15, the Philistines come and camp. They want revenge on Samson. Oh, Judges, Samson. Samson is a judge. They don't like what he did, so they want revenge. So what does Judah do? We'll fight, protect Samson. No, they hand him over.
Sure, go ahead.
Right, here you go, here he is. Judges 20:18 is a very nasty story. Very, very nasty story about a Benjamite who cut up his concubine because she had been raped by evil men in the city of Gibeah. And he cut her up in 12 pieces and sent 12 each piece to a tribe. The tribes didn't think that was so funny, so they come to find the guy. Interesting, in Ruth 1:7, Naomi took Ruth back to her homeland of Judah. And we know Ruth is in the line of Jesus, right? 1 Samuel 11:8, look at the numbers. Now we have Israel and Judah. How many times do we read Israel and Judah, Israel and Judah, Israel and Judah? But Judah is part of Israel. This is before the split. This is Judges. We're not into kings and stuff. We're not into Solomon, but they're being set apart. We got Judges, or Judah and Israel. Judah and Israel. Why is that? I don't have an answer for that yet. I'm like, Judah was the largest. Look at the numbers. 3,000 men of Israel and 30,000 from Judah. Okay. Okay, 1 Samuel 17, the Philistines are again encamped in Judah. How come? This is the story of Goliath. So where's Saul from then? I'm thinking he's Judah.
Yeah.
If he's with the tribe of Judah and they're getting pummeled by Goliath. 1 Samuel 18, all Israel and Judah, again, they're set apart, loved David because he led them in their campaigns. 2 Samuel 22, Judah does not abandon David as their king, though all of Israel did. I'd like that heritage, that they stayed with God's anointed no matter what. Here's another number, 2 Samuel 24:9. All of Israel, that's 800,000. Judah is 500,000. That's crazy. That means 11 tribes counted 800,000 and one tribe is 500,000. When they said they're the biggest tribe, I get it.
Is this kind of the 11 and 1 or the 10 and 2?
10 and 2,
10
but they aren't 10 and 2 yet.
Okay, so this is
It's still, and why are they being set apart? I don't have an answer for that. It's like, this is still Israel. Why is it Israel and Judah? Israel and Judah, I don't know. Because they aren't split yet. Rehoboam is their king. Remember Jeroboam, son of Nebat, and that goes into the split kingdoms, Shannon. So then, by then, they're split.
Okay.
So then you've got Jeroboam with the 10 in Israel, and then you've got Rehoboam with the 2. But that's not until 1 Kings 12. 1 Kings 14:21. The Lord chose Jerusalem and Judah in which to put his name. Out of all those tribes of Israel, he chose to put his name there. It's a huge responsibility. Horrible commentary right after that verse. Judah did evil in the eyes of the Lord. By the sins they committed, they stirred up his jealous anger more than their fathers had done. Sad, sad, sad. They are mentioned in Revelation 7, 12,000. Okay, we only have Dan and Naphtali to go. Am I doing okay? Yep. Their mother is Bilhah. So let's go over to Rachel. Has Rachel had any kids yet?
No.
Ugh, no. So she says, here, take Bilhah. And Rachel names him. Rachel names him. Bilhah does not even name her son. Rachel names him Dan. She says, God has vindicated me and given me a son. He has vindicated, or judge is what his name means. So Rachel, I'm going to, shoot, I forgot Judah's stone. Oh, we knew lion. That's the only one we knew. Which I'm right there with you. Because I just like, I don't know. Again, remember where he is, okay? And there, red. Okay, so red is him. Ruby. That's easy to remember. His land, just in perspective. I want you to see Dan and Manasseh. That's the half tribe of Manasseh. The other half is here. Gad and Reuben on the east side. Then you got Asher, Naphtali, Zebulun, Issachar, the other tribe, Ephraim, Dan, and Dan. We're going to get into that in just a second. Okay. There's Benjamin and all of Judah, and Simeon's in the middle.
That's one of the cities.
It's just very interesting. They said, yes, I did say that. Okay, so here's Dan. Again, Dennis Prager. Rachel reared him just like an adopted mother does today. Bilhah had no say at all. It's not willingly here, out of love. Like, no. Rachel just took him. This is my son, and she's going to raise him as her son.
Was that typical, you think,
Typical,
of the Jewish
yeah,
people at the time?
very much. Yeah, because it was a handmaid or a maidservant that Rachel's daddy had given her when they left, when Laban gave everybody, they left. In that was provision. In case she didn't have children, then she had a maidservant that maybe could, but maidservant also served her because she was her maid servant. So,
It shows us how important their children were.
they were huge. They were huge.
Yeah.
Your line doesn't.
Dan only had one son, Husham. He only had one son. Exodus 31:6. I have appointed Oholiab, son of Ahisamach, of the tribe of Dan, to help. Remember his name, Bezalel. Okay, of Judah, in what?
Artistic.
All those artistic work designs, and then he names gold, silver, bronze for the tabernacle. He was also an embroiderer.
Yay.
How about that? From the tribe of Dan. They were also given the ability to teach others their skill. Now, why do you think God put that in there? Isn't that assumed? If you know how to do that, you can teach me how to do that. You ever been under somebody who can't really teach you how to do that you thought that they could, but they really can't? That's miserable. It's just miserable. But God gave them the ability to teach others how to do it. It's cool. Son of an Egyptian father and an Israelite mother, Shelomith, daughter of Dibri the Danite, fought an Israelite. Now, that's interesting. They've intermarried. So how they've been intermarrying in Leviticus. Go down to Numbers 2:25. Dan was on the north side when they camped. Everybody was assigned a place. Numbers 13:12. The spy from Dan was Amiel, son of Gamali. Good report, bad report? Bad. Specifically named. This is the first one on Deuteronomy 27:13 that's assigned on Mount Ebal. Curses. That's his job. If Israel has to be cursed, that tribe is supposed to be on that mountain giving them curses because of their disobedience.
Where is Mount Ebal?
They were, I'd have to show you on a map. They were prominent mountains that Moses literally set apart, one for blessings, one for cursings in Deuteronomy 33. He was telling them, as you go into the land, this is your job. Joshua 19:47. The Danites had difficulty taking possession of their territory. Very interesting. I haven't read anybody else that does this. So they went up and attacked Leshem, took it, put it to the sword, and occupy it. They settled in Leshem and named it Dan after their forefather, because remember, none of these sons ever went into the land, ever. Go down to Judges 13. Samson is from Dan, because Judah handed him over. But he's from the tribe of Dan. He's a judge. He's a judge. Remember that. Judges 18:1, this confused me because it said, in the days of Israel had no king, and in those days the tribe of Danites was seeking a place of their own where they might settle, because they had not yet come into an inheritance among the tribes of Israel. Why not? Why didn't they have everybody was given the land.
Well, but they couldn't take possession
They
of theirs.
couldn't take possession of it. They had difficulty. Right. So you go to Judges 18, they find Lachish and they want it. And those people are peaceful and unsuspecting people. So do you think Dan is big warriors?
No.
No.
We can get these guys. They're just wimps. We're going to take their land and burn it and make it ours. And that's exactly what they did. They attacked them and burned down their city. They rebuilt the city and renamed it Dan, after their forefathers. And Judges 18:30 says, there the Danites set up for themselves
Idols.
the idols.
That's why they have difficulties.
And Jonathan, the son of Gershom should go, who's that? I just saw his name. Son of Moses. And his sons were priests for the tribes of Dan until the captivity of the land. Priests for what? Idol worship. Right, the wrong thing.
And because they were skilled in making beautiful things, what God intended
I know.
For
good,
beauty in the tabernacle.
they used their skill for.
Isn't that
I want to be
something?
leader all the time.
They continued to use the idols all the time. The house of God was in Shiloh. Now remember, there were different houses of God set up because it was too far to go. How many times have you read from Dan to Beersheba? They mean from north to south. Dan was north, Beersheba was south. So now you get Israel and Judah, Israel and Judah, Israel and Judah. Still don't have an explanation for that. But if we say Dan to Beersheba, it's another way of saying from Miami to Jacksonville. We got north to south. That's what they're saying. King Jeroboam in 1 Kings 12 set up one golden calf in Bethel and one in Dan. And how come that was okay to set that up in Dan?
Because that's what they were
Because that's what they were doing.
Yeah.
Fine, come set one up here. We have perfect place for it, and we have the priests to do stuff for it. Go to the next page, 2 Chronicles 2:14. Hiram, king of Tyre, sent Solomon Huram of Abi, a man of great skill, whose mother was from Dan and whose father was from Tyre. So we got intermarrying again. He was trained to work in gold and silver, bronze and iron, stone and wood, and with purple and blue and crimson yarn and fine linen. He is experienced in all kinds of engraving and can execute any design given to him. He will work with your craftsmen and with those of my lord David, your father.
You must come from
Unbelievable.
there. Cool.
We haven't heard this before, but Jeremiah is pronouncing judgment on Dan. He's the first one mentioned from Jeremiah. Dan is included in the list of idolaters in Amos 8:14, and in Revelation 7, he's not there. There is no 12,000 from Dan. That's
Look, there's still 144,000.
because of Joseph's two sons. Snake. Now, if you read the description of him, and Jacob's description of him, the snake, well, he talks about biting the horse's heels. So now we know the snake is Dan, which, what did Moses set up in the wilderness? The people were looking at, and then they stopped the curse. And who was biting them? What was biting them?
The snake.
Okay, so idol worship and Dan and the snake, I can do that. That's a good visual for me. Their stone is beryl or topaz. on the ephod. Okay? Last one, notice that their hand is kind of split. That's what they were given, but it was too hard.
Yeah.
They couldn't do it, so they went all the way up north and they took that land because the people were peaceful and unsuspecting.
We can take it.
We can take it. So they did, burned it and built it new and said, "This is Dan." Now we're going to Naphtali. That's the last one for today. Bilhah
Thank
conceived
goodness.
again.
Thank goodness.
Right? I know, I'm sorry.
Oh, my goodness.
This is just a lot of
My
information,
brain
but
is-
boy,
my
when you
brain
get into
wants
the
to
land, you're
leave.
gonna know. Those are the guys that were the idolaters. These were the guys that, and these are the, hopefully this is going to help you remember who those were. And some things that happened to them, maybe we'll get explanations of why that happened to them because of how they came into the land and what their reputation was. Bilhah conceived again. Rachel again, who gets to name him? Rachel. She names him Naphtali, or Naphtali, which means to contest, because she won a contest. Gee, that's what I want to be named after. So the only two sons of Bilhah are Dan, the idolater worshiper, and Naphtali. Naphtali's sons, they name them, all four of them there. Interesting, I had to go on Genesis 46:25. She had 7 persons in all. I'm like, but she only had 2 sons. How do you get 7 out of 2? Naphtali's sons are included in hers. I don't know why they do that, but that's what they did. So she had Dan and Naphtali, and she had the one son from Dan, and then she had hers. That's how they get 7. They were all accounted to her. 7 persons is what they say in all. I don't know. Back of that, Numbers 10:27, he was the last tribe to bring up the rear guard. So who gets into the camp last? He does. I hope he isn't running after or, running from somebody pursuing him.
You said
These
Numbers
end.
9:27?
10:27.
10:27.
Yeah. And then 13:4, here's the guy that brought the bad report. Nabi. Numbers 27:13, this is what I corrected, so I hope that's what you have as the corrected one. This is Dan is assigned Mount Evil to pronounce curses. I mean Naphtali. It says Dan, and it should say Naphtali, which is why you have a corrected paper.
This one.
Again, sad, Judges 133. Neither did Naphtali drive out those living in Beth Shemesh or Beth Anah, but the Naphtalites lived among the Canaanite inhabitants of the land, and those living in Beth Shemesh and Beth Anah became forced labor for them. So now they have slaves for the people that are living there, but they're still living there. And God has told them to go in and wipe them out. But they didn't, so now they can do all that hard work that we don't want to do. It's just sad. Judges 4:4-10. Remember, Deborah is a judge, and her discussion with Barak, who doesn't want to go up to war unless she comes with him. And she says, God commands you to take 10,000 men from Naphtali and Zebulun and lead the way to Mount Tabor against Sisera. So Barak comes from Naphtali. Good thing, Judges 6:35, he fought with Gideon. That's a good thing. He joined in defeating. Here's Zadok again in 1 Kings 4:15. Zadok's son, who was King David's priest. Do you remember what they said about Zadok, though? Besides being a priest? He's a mighty warrior. So the Levites were no little wimpy people. He's a warrior. Again, intermarriage in the 1 Kings. And then 2 Kings 15:29, up at the very last page, said, in the time of Pekah, king of Israel, this is really important, Tiglath-Pileser, king of Assyria, came and took blah, 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 blah. He took Gilead and Galilee, including all the land of Naphtali. and he deported the people to Assyria. So what happened to Naphtali? They went to Assyria. At least I know what happened to them. They got deported. And where they got deported.
Yeah.
2 Chronicles 34:6, Josiah tears down the idols of Naphtali. So they must have been in idol worship. And they are mentioned in the 12,000. Now, look at his symbol, the deer, the doe. This is in the blessing from Jacob. Naphtali is a doe let loose. He bears beautiful fawns or gives beautiful words. So now we know 6 of the symbols. We got 6 more to go. His stone, oh, where is he? Okay, he's up here with Dan on the north side. And what is his name? That was Jasper. It's very similar to Ruby, isn't it?
I think Jasper has more like, it's red, but it has some brownish
It does. That
stripes
looks like brown
through
stripes
it.
and stuff.
Like turquoise would be with the red
Oh,
version.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It doesn't.
And is
not
one,
clear.
yeah, is
Right.
one a more
Yeah.
precious stone and one is a
Same.
semi-precious stone, or, yeah. Yeah, I think that was it. We're into Gad next week. So, forgive me for the
this. Oh my
tediousness,
goodness, this is amazing.
but this, I hope, is going to be like a reference for when we go in and go, okay, now Joshua's telling this person to take the land, and were those good guys, or were they good or bad, or I got to go look that up again. Okay.
Many
The next
times.
guys are way smaller. Okay? Because again, we couldn't hardly remember who they were. So there's not going to be that much information in those people. Again, I would highly recommend you start your first lesson.
Yep.
Because it's just, it's 5 days of work, but it's really more than that. Yeah. You just kind of turn the page and go, oh, I still have all that to do? Yeah, do that tomorrow because you have 2 weeks to do that. I hope everybody's had a great summer. Really, really glad to be back.
Thank you for doing all of this.
Yes.
I know.
Inquiring minds want to know. That's all I can say.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, Melinda, and Becky Tremonti is going to be doing this just kind of online, and Melinda may be doing that as well. So, and Louise, I need to keep praying for Louise. I know she's got her book. That's what she said, but
Well, I talked to her a couple weeks ago, and
Did
she
you?
said that she just can't drive down here.
Exactly.
She
It's
can't.
all she can do to get here on Sunday.
it is.
Yeah.
It is. So she was going to do it at home. So I don't know if she got her book. I'll call her today and find that out.
Thank you for doing this.
You're welcome.
Amen.
Jenny,
Yes.
if she doesn't have her book, you can leave it out there.
I could at the front desk.
Because I can get it for her Sunday and take it to class.
Okay.
But she
Now, I
generally
usually see
comes,
her on Sunday mornings
Do
sitting
you
out
too?
front. but-
Okay, well, I'll just make sure that it's just there.
she almost always gets to Sunday.
Oh yeah, we can leave all
Exactly.
those her. so
Right.
you
Right.
can- Yeah.
Right. Okay. And this was a great chart as well that Joni had. Marjorie brought in. So sorry.
The other.
And it has all the
okay.
maps and everything on the back.
We're used
as
to it,
well.
so.
Awesome. So anyway, okay, let's pray, and then you guys have a great afternoon. Lord, thank you so much for your word and for how pertinent it is to us and what we're going to find out that we don't even know we're going to find out, that you're going to apply to our lives. And I just thank you so much for that. I pray now that as we go, we would be your hands and feet, and we would truly minister to people that we come into contact with. In your precious name, amen.
Anybody want to eat this?